Hey everyone, Stephanie Robilio here, licensed clinical social worker, published author, and the chief clinical officer at Agape Behavioral Healthcare, and you are tuning into the Mindful Living podcast. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Mindful Living podcast. I trust you all are doing well. I feel really excited and grateful that I am here in this space about to share more with you. And I think it's only been about 2 weeks since the last one. So this might just be a record for this year. I'm getting to do 2 back-to-back episodes, which is really cool. I think it's a testimony that I have been really practicing conserving my energy and being intentional and creating the space to do what I most want. And that's what I want to talk to you all about today. You know, here we are about 90 days out from the end of this year. And I think now more than ever, this is our time to reclaim power and give ourselves the gift of time. So often this time of year, people are already thinking about what they're doing in November, what they're doing in December. People are trying to figure out plans for 2024. And it is amazing to dream and have goals and have a vision and even plan a little bit here and there. I think that sometimes it's actually necessary. But I also feel like we rob ourselves of time more often than not. And so today, my invitation to you all is to really give yourself permission to be as present as possible as we go through the rest of this year, living the rest of this year one day at a time. And beyond living it one day at a time, becoming so concerned about the way you feel. I think this is something that most people neglect. We are just so caught up in routines and responsibilities, and most people are running with the high stress meter. You know, that stress is just kicked up, and we forget to really slow down and check in with ourselves, and we really don't often care about the way we feel. And I think that it's not until sometimes we face plant that we take a step back and we go, whoa, wait a minute. I really need to do something about the way I've been feeling. It doesn't feel good anymore to be stressed and overwhelmed. It doesn't feel good to feel pressured and to constantly be on the go. Or it doesn't feel good to be carrying around all the weight of yesterday or even maybe months ago. And so beyond inviting you to be as present as possible, I also want to invite you to begin to care about the way you feel. You deserve to feel good as often as possible. And believe it or not, it is possible to feel good often. You just have to learn how to set yourself up, making yourself number one on your things to do list. If you're anything like me, there was a time in my life where I had a very long things to do list, and I was always at the bottom. It was, do all these things for work and all my responsibilities. And then it was like, okay, then I'll go to the gym, then I'll sit in the sauna, then I'll journal. Like those things were last on the list. And for that chapter in my life, it was working. As they say, hindsight's always 2020. But what's interesting is when I first met my husband, his wellness routine was in the morning. He would wake up, go to the gym, make his green juice smoothie thing. And I was always like, like you're doing all this in the morning? And I wanted to work out at night. But basically he looked at me and he said something that I always hear him say this. And now I actually share it with people I have an opportunity to work with and even my own loved ones. He said, Stephanie, if you are number one on your things to do list, it will always get done. And I just sat there like in awe of that insight, in awe of that wisdom, in awe of that perspective, because that's the God's honest truth. Whatever's number one on the things to do list, it always gets done. Whether it was unload the dishwasher, transfer the laundry, check email, return a phone call, run an errand, like whatever's number one on the list, for the most part, it always gets done. And so ever since then, which, man, we've been together for an incredible 7 years, I've been exercising and taking care of myself in the morning. And for me, that has changed everything. It has changed everything. And I'm not here to tell you that you need to commit to exercising and having a morning routine that's, built around wellness. I strongly believe that wellness is such a personal and sacred process, and it looks different for each of us. And again, it comes back to doing the things that are going to make us feel good. I went from, exercising and doing all the things after work. And the truth is, I used to be exhausted. I can remember like coming home from a day of work and dreading the fact that I had to go to the gym, dreading it. And there were a lot of times that I would just skip it because I was too tired. And I think that's what happens for a lot of people, is because people aren't prioritizing themselves, then you end up missing out on taking care of yourself because you are tired at the end of the day, or the unexpected happens, right? Maybe you had plans like, hey, I know my workday ends at 4:30, and then something unexpected happens and now you're not getting out of work till 6, or whatever your individual story is. But if you practice making yourself number one and carving out space, little increments of time in the morning, whether it's to do an affirmations list, do a gratitude list, just to be still and maybe not talk to anybody. Enjoy your tea or your cup of coffee. Maybe it's reading a page out of your favorite book. Maybe it's sitting on your patio. Whatever it is, show up for it because you deserve it. And when you do that, I'm telling you, there's this powerful shift that happens. The more you practice showing up for yourself and the more you become so concerned about the way you feel, somehow, some way, everything outside of you falls into place. And I think, that brings me back to how there's a quote and it says, the outside world is really a reflection of our internal world. And I think that there's so much power in that statement because most people are going through their days flustered, stressed, overwhelmed. And the question really is your life that stressful, or are you responding to your life in a stressful way? Are you reacting to people, places, and things? Do you feel like everything is urgent? Every time the phone rings, you have to respond. Every time you see a notification, you have to check it and clear it, right? Like taking the time to self-reflect and adjust accordingly. I think that that's something else that we owe ourselves before this year comes to an end. Maybe it's not every day that you have an opportunity to check in with yourself and self-reflect, but I would really, 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 really invite you to make sure you're doing this at least once or twice a week, right? Like have those check-in points where you stop and ask yourself, how do I feel? Do I feel good right now? Do I feel stressed right now? What am I doing when I feel stressed? What am I doing when I feel my happiest or my best? The point is, if you're clear about what brings you stress, let's do less of that. And when you're clear on what makes you feel your best and your happiest, let's do more of that. And some of you might be thinking, oh, it's impossible to do more of what makes me happy because I have too many responsibilities. And I want to pause you right now if you're that person finding a million reasons why you can't do more of what makes you happy. And I want to challenge you with love to really, really, really take the time to look at the narrative you have and the beliefs and the thoughts that you have, and take a close look at how those narratives, those beliefs, those thoughts are getting in the way of you feeling your best. How is your own internal narrative blocking you from feeling your best? It's natural. There was a time in my life where I had so many negative thoughts on repeat. I was stuck in this cycle of self-limiting beliefs. I had a reason every time I had an opportunity to show up for myself or do something I really wanted to do or do something that I knew would serve and support me. I found a million reasons why I couldn't do it. And that's a whole other thing that we can talk about, because I think that really is about fear and blocking ourselves from connecting to our true worth. But for the purpose of today, I just want to really encourage you all to prioritize self-care, to become so concerned with how you're feeling, and to give yourself the gift of living the rest of this year one day at a time, and beyond that, one now at a time, understanding we only have the present moment. We only have the present moment. So every time you find yourself future tripping and getting ahead, or even still hung up on something from the past, notice that, and then with love and with grace and with kindness to yourself, return to the present moment. There is nothing you can do about your past, and there's nothing you can do about your future. And if you want to do something about your future, then show up and be your best now, because our future is determined by how we're showing up now. It's a matter of the choices we are making now, not the choices we're going to make after the holidays, not the choices we're going to make come the new year. It's about what are you willing to do now? What are you willing to do now? Each and every one of you, you are so beyond worthy and deserving of feeling your best. And as always, I'm here to remind you with so much love that you are the only person who can set yourself up to feel your best. And you are allowed to make changes in your life to set yourself up. So please do not delay your dreams any longer. Do not delay feeling better any longer. Take ownership in setting yourself up to feel your best, understanding that when you feel your best, you're going to show up in a way that you've never shown up before. And sometimes that process can seem so long and so foreign and even dark and lonely. But what I have found is that if you can trust the process just by taking one step at a time and doing your best along the way, you're not, this isn't here to say that you're just going to like make a commitment to feeling your best and then life is easy. It's not to say that at all, but it's to invite you to wake up every day and really understand that you only have the moment you're in. Be present, right? Give yourself the gift of being present. And when you're present, for the most part, we can make choices that are good for us. It gives us a sense of clarity. And then if you're in that space of clarity, you're going to want to feel good. And then when you feel good, trust me, you are going to make it an intention to check in with yourself and adjust accordingly. Because the moment we start feeling good, then we feel good again and good again and good again, eventually great. And then we're into like all those elevated emotions where it just feels so good to feel good and we don't want to lose it. So here's to not losing it. Here's to reclaiming power over your days and giving yourself the gift of being present, and make the most out of the rest of this year, one now at a time. You all deserve it. Until the next time, lots of love. Thank you so much for being here with me today. If you found today's episode to be insightful and inspiring, drop me a review so together we can help the next person, and come connect with me on social at Stephanie Robilio and find all of my books on Amazon. Until the next episode, stay mindful and always remember the power that lives inside of you.